I'm curious your thoughts on the job Joe Mazzulla's done. And then, you played for ML Carr. You played for Rick Pitino, who's not overly well liked in this city. You've seen maybe the other side of the coaching ledger here. So I'm curious your thoughts on the job he's individually done and how it compares to some other maybe problematic coaches here.
Well, I think he's done a terrific job. I mean, they've been in contention. They've been to the finals. I mean, so I don't want to, take away the success he's had because he has been successful. I think people got to give him a chance. You got to go through some growing pains too. I mean, everything's not going to be perfect, but I believe he's done a terrific job. I think he allows his stars to be stars. When I'm talking about Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, I think a lot of people complain sometimes, and what I've heard, and you guys can help me understand this more, is about the timeouts and maybe stopping runs and those type of things.
Correct.
And maybe he feels like because this group has been through so many, has been in so many big games, and maybe he feels like they can play through those mistakes. I remember watching the old Chicago Bulls, and Phil Jackson didn't call timeouts, but he also had Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, so it's a little different. But I think with this group, I think people sometimes he doesn't stop the run, and people get a little frustrated with that. But I think he's done a terrific job with this group, and people got to be a little patient. I think they got a great opportunity right now to get a chance to get a run to the finals, and if people are a little patient with them, they'll be all right. I think obviously game one, Miami came out strike, but this is going to be a 6-7 game series anyway, and I think the Celtics' depth is going to wear on the Miami Heat.
Antoine, everybody around here remembers you fondly as a Celtic, but you did win a title with the Heat, and we hear so much about Heat culture. Is that a real thing down there? Was it a real thing when you were there for that championship?
I wouldn't say. I think Pat Riley has created a culture of just hard work, really discipline. Pat's the type of guy who's going to practice 3.5, 4 hours. So they have a different culture in how the way they do things. And I think it's needed because obviously it's Miami. It's a lot of other things you can do down there. So I think he makes it really hard and puts a lot of pressure on the players and keeps them in the gym and work on them. But no, it's not. It's not the same. I mean, Boston culture and Miami Heat culture is totally different. It's hard to get people to leave South Beach. I remember. We started games where the arena was half full at 7:30. You got to wait to 8:30 because people are so nice outside and everything. Where in Boston, and it's a real sports town, and people are really engaged and really understand what's going on. So it's a big difference in that sense. But Pat Riley's done a good job of bringing a good basketball team, a good product down there. But it's not the same.
Antoine, what would you say the biggest challenge is for a team like the Celtics, who admittedly are very talented, obviously, and have 2 All-NBA players, but who are young superstars going up against a grizzled veteran like someone like Jimmy Butler? What are some of the challenges that go into that? A guy with the experience and the toughness and just the overall game of Butler. How do you sort of counteract that with what the Celtics have?
I think they're fine. I think they've been in so many big games and battle tested and been in so many deep runs this core group has been in. So I think they're fine. I mean, obviously, they lose game one, but I still believe that this is going to be a 6-7 game series. Everything is always going to go your way. But I think they're built for it. I think people got to understand this group is built for a 6 or 7 game series and be in tough situations. So I wouldn't worry about it. I think they bounce back tonight, and they have the capability and a good enough team where they can go on the road and win in Miami. So I just think this is going to be a long series. Miami was prepared and came in and stole one, but I think the Celtics will be fine.
Talking to Celtics ambassador Antoine Walker here on Jones Mego with Arcand on WEEI. Antoine, correct me if I'm wrong. You played for Doc when you came back in Boston? It was Doc, right?
Yes, I played for Doc for 1 year.
What's your reaction to him getting fired in Philadelphia?
I was a little surprised. Unless they felt like they were a championship team, I just thought James Harden wasn't the same Harden that he was in Houston. He couldn't really get back to that form. Obviously, Joel Embiid is a great player, MVP type player. So you have one guy there. I just think the expectations were probably a little too high, maybe from the Sixers ownership group, and maybe even from the fan base. I think they just probably thought that maybe James Harden was the same James Harden. That's not the same James Harden that left Houston. So there was a different place. I just don't think they were a championship team roster-wise, top to bottom.
Antoine, I think some people were a little disappointed by the Jayson Tatum that we saw in Game 1 against the Heat, especially when you see the juxtaposition of Jimmy Butler on the other side, their star, taking kind of the reins of their entire offense late in the game. What would you say to Tatum to maybe find a little bit more consistency throughout all 4 quarters of the game and have a bigger presence in the third and fourth quarter?
It's a mindset that he has to come in with, that he has to understand that there's nothing wrong with getting 35 and 40 points in a playoff game. I know they have a well-balanced team. They got, Jaylen Brown. They got different guys on the team that can score. But it's nothing wrong if you have to put up 25, 30 shots. That's what it's about, being a superstar. And I think sometimes you got to be a little selfish. And I think nobody will mind that if he's a little selfish and he dominates the game. Jason. One thing about Jayson Tatum, he's got the ability to get you 35, 40 points on any given night. And this is the time to do it. This is when superstars step up, and you don't worry about getting other people involved. You take over the game, you fill it out. And I think that's what sometimes gets a little frustrating, for people that watch Jayson Tatum, because you can see a 50-point performance, and then he'll come back and not be as aggressive the next night. I think it's just about just keeping his foot on the pedal and go ahead and go out there and play. You're not going to, upset anybody because you take 25, 30 shots. That's what people want to see you do, and that's what people believe you can do. And he does it at an efficient rate. He just has to continue to keep that mindset going.
Grant Williams was a key contributor for this team in their playoff run last year and a big part of the offense, I'd say, during the regular season. He's found himself in the doghouse here so far, Antoine. Why do you suppose that is? Why do you think he fell out of favor with Joe Mazzulla like he has when he's shown to be a playoff performer?
That's always tough. Obviously, you never know what happened towards the end of the season. Maybe he wasn't, fitting into the rotation the right way. But he's a guy that's played in meaningful games. He's got toughness. But if coach doesn't feel that he wants to go with him right now, it's probably something that Grant Williams has done to put himself into that situation.
You think you see him tonight?
Yeah, I think, Miami Heat are small. They're not a big team. So this is a good series for Grant Williams. You could play a small 4. You can even play him at the center spot because they're not a big team. So he actually matches up really well in the series. So I think he'll get some playing time because he has the ability to shoot the 3, and obviously we know he can finish around the basket. So I think you'll see a lot of them.
That's another reason I think fans are a little miffed at Joe Mazzulla, some of his rotations on top of the timeouts. But you just mentioned the 3, which I find very interesting with you specifically. Your time in the NBA, that was very, and you know it well, very hot button at the time, the 3s you took. Now it's like anybody's taking 4, 5, 6 threes a night. Like
ahead of your time.
How do you feel watching today's NBA as a product? Like, do you enjoy the product where it's basically all at the rim or all beyond the arc?
I like the game. Obviously, I like the fact that the big men, we see more big men being able to step out and shoot threes and have more guard skills. I think it makes for a more exciting play. But just where the game is at now. I mean, it's so hard to get to the basket in this league and finish at the rim with so many great athletes. So you got to be able to shoot the basketball. So that's why you see so many skills. Even Joel Embiid and different guys, we see different big men, the Joker, and all these guys, they're skilled. They got perimeter, they got guard skills. And that's what the game has evolved to. Our best players in the league right now are guys that are 7 feet, 6'8", 6'9". Look at Giannis, look at the Joker, look at Embiid. All those guys are 7-footers that can go outside as well as go inside. So it's funny it's great for me to see that because I love to see the big guys be able to handle the ball and do a lot of things that guards can do. But it just brings a different element to the game, and the game has just evolved into that.
All right, Celtics great Antoine Walker joining us here on the Harbor One Hotline in town for Game 2 tonight. Celtics and the Heat. He's an ambassador at TD Garden. Antoine, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Antoine Walker.